The truth about silent chosen ones that no one talks about. The truth about silent chosen ones that no one talks about isn't loud. It doesn't scream for attention. It doesn't need a stage or a spotlight. It whispers in the quiet moments of your life when the world fades and you can finally hear something deeper than sound. I want you to imagine a person who walks among us every day, whose spirit carries a weight that can't be seen but is felt. Someone who has always been different, not because they chose to be, but because life has carved them differently. These are the silent chosen ones. And if you're still watching, I need you to ask yourself, am I one of them? We don't choose silence, silence chooses us. From a young age, the silent chosen ones feel the world like 1,000 frequencies vibrating at once. We feel the pain behind people's smiles, the chaos behind their calm, the truth behind their words. And because we sense too much, we speak less. Not out of fear, but out of reverence. We know the power of words. We know that silence is not emptiness. It is a container for the sacred. And so we become observers, not outcasts. We become quiet, not because we're broken, but because we're building something inside that cannot yet be explained.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Have you ever walked into a room and felt everything shift, even though no one said a word to you? Have you ever sat in a crowd and felt more alone than ever, not out of sadness, but because you knew you didn't belong to the noise? That's the mark. That's the first sign. The silent chosen ones are not here to blend in, they are here to break patterns. But the irony is, to break the pattern, they must walk alone first. I remember my first awakening. I was just a kid, sitting by a window, watching rain fall like it was some kind of language from the sky. I felt like the rain was speaking to me, not in words, but in knowing. That's when I understood. I was meant to feel life before I understood it. And that's how it begins for many of us. A subtle moment, a strange knowing, a realization that the world isn't what it seems, that people wear masks so convincingly they forget they're wearing them. And while everyone else is running around chasing attention, chasing validation, chasing noise, we are pulled inward, into a cave of stillness. Not because it's comfortable, but because it's necessary. You see, the silent chosen ones are not silent because they lack something. They are silent because they are growing something the world doesn't understand yet. Patience, depth, clarity, spirit. We are the ones who see the unseen, who hear messages in dreams, who feel the future before it arrives. But we don't boast about it. We don't post about it. We carry it like a secret flame. And this is where the loneliness begins, because when you are chosen, you are also separated, not as a punishment, but as preparation. The universe cannot pour divine wisdom into a vessel that leaks, so it seals us off for a time. It removes the distractions, the fake friends, the toxic patterns, the shallow pursuits. It strips us down to nothing, because only when we are nothing can we receive everything. That's the paradox. That's the path. But no one talks about this part. No one talks about the nights where you cry and you don't know why. The mornings where you wake up feeling ancient, like you've lived 1,000 lives. No one talks about the pain of knowing too much and having no one to share it with. The silent chosen ones often carry wisdom that's older than their age, deeper than their words, and heavier than their shoulders. But we carry it anyway, because we must. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like your soul is remembering something your mind can't explain? Like you're being guided by invisible hands? Like you're being pulled towards something you can't name but you know it's real? That's the call, that's the invitation. But answering it, that's where the real journey begins. You won't find the map in a book. You won't hear it in a podcast. The map is within you, buried under layers of conditioning, trauma, fear, and distraction. And to reach it, you must dive inward. That's why silence is so important. That's why we're called silent chosen ones. Because only in silence can we hear the truth. And the truth is not always kind. The truth will break you before it builds you. It will take you to the edge of your illusions and ask you to jump. Will you? This isn't about religion. This isn't about some trend or aesthetic. This is about soul. Real soul. The kind that doesn't shine for likes but burns for truth. In a world obsessed with being seen, the silent chosen ones are here to see. We witness. We hold space. We transmute. And while we may not be loud, our presence is thunder. Because when you walk in divine alignment, your aura speaks louder than words ever could. But here's the dangerous part. The world doesn't always like us. The world is threatened by what it can't control. That's why silent chosen ones often face betrayal, rejection, misunderstanding. People don't get us because we don't play by their rules. We don't chase clout. We don't engage in petty games. We don't need validation because we've already been validated by something higher. And that makes people uncomfortable. But don't shrink. Don't dim your light because others are blinded by it. Don't silence your truth because it doesn't fit into their narrative. You are not here to fit in. You are here to wake people up. Even if it means doing it silently, even if it means walking alone, because in your solitude, you are not alone. You are in training. You are being shaped into a vessel for divine purpose. So, if you've ever wondered why your journey feels so different, why your path is so quiet, why your spirit feels so old, it's because you're not here to live a normal life, you're here to live a sacred one. And sacred lives are never loud. They are luminous. They glow from within. They transform rooms without speaking a single word. Before we move forward, I want to ask you something. What if your silence is not an absence, but a presence that the world is not yet ready to hear? The sacred burden of invisibility. There's a weight that comes with being unseen, not because you are insignificant, but because your presence is too significant for most to comprehend. The silent chosen ones don't just live in the background. They anchor the background. They carry an invisible gravity that stabilizes chaos, a quiet force that keeps balance in a world addicted to extremes. But no one tells you how heavy that role can be. No one prepares you for the sacred burden of invisibility. When you are chosen, your life doesn't follow the script. You don't get the ordinary milestones at the ordinary times. Your growth is non-linear. Your healing is layered. Your lessons are ancient. While others seem to move from step to step with ease, you are being taken through initiations that test not only your strength, but your soul. And often, no one sees it. No one claps for your breakthroughs. No one notices the demons you've wrestled in silence. But that's the point. The silent chosen ones are not here to be celebrated. They are here to become. You start to notice patterns. People are drawn to you when they are in pain, when they are lost, when they are searching for something they can't name. You become the safe place. the mirror, the healer. But where do you go when you need healing? Who holds space for the one who holds space for everyone else? That's the paradox. We are the sanctuary for others, but often wander the deserts of our own inner worlds alone, and yet we keep going. Not for glory, not for recognition, but because something ancient inside us won't let us quit. It whispers, "This is bigger than you." That's the voice we trust, not the opinions, not the trends, but that still, sacred voice inside that knows we are being shaped for something. It's not always clear what that something is, but we feel it. And that feeling becomes our compass. Let me tell you something most people won't. Being chosen doesn't mean being privileged. It means being refined by fire. It means being stripped of illusions, of attachments, of anything that does not serve your soul's highest truth. It means watching people walk away as you evolve, not because you're pushing them, but because your vibration no longer matches theirs. It means grieving the old you again and again as you shed layers of false identity. But in that process, something wild and holy is born, a version of you that cannot be manipulated, a spirit that cannot be bought, a heart that cannot be corrupted. You become sovereign. You become still within chaos. And the world doesn't know what to do with someone it cannot distract, entertain, or control, so it calls you names. Too intense, too sensitive, too quiet, too weird. But you know what you really are. Too real. Have you ever noticed how the world celebrates noise? It rewards those who shout the loudest, who chase validation like it's currency. But the silent chosen ones break that system. We don't compete. We don't shout. We don't need to be seen to know we matter, because we are connected to something deeper than this matrix. We are connected to Source. And when you walk with Source, you don't need applause. You walk in knowing, but that knowing comes at a cost. You will be tested over and over again, not because you're being punished, but because you're being prepared. The universe only tests what it intends to trust. And if you're being tested repeatedly, it's because your soul is being fortified for a mission that most will never see, but that will ripple through generations. So what do you do when the world doesn't see you? You see yourself. You honor your own journey. You bless your solitude. You stop waiting for permission, and you start walking in purpose. You start creating from the soul, not the ego. You start speaking truth even if your voice shakes, and you trust that the right people, the ones who are meant to hear you, will find you, because energy speaks louder than words. And your energy, when aligned with your soul, cannot be silenced. The truth is, the silent chosen ones are the blueprint for the new world. We are being called to dismantle systems from the inside out, not with force, but with frequency. We don't fight the darkness with more darkness. We hold light so pure that the darkness dissolves on contact. And that light doesn't come from pretending to be perfect, it comes from being radically honest, from owning your shadow, from healing your wounds, from walking through the fire and emerging not bitter, but brighter. And you know the most beautiful part? Even if no one ever thanks you, even if no one ever sees how much you've given, the universe sees, life sees. And life will always mirror back the energy you carry. It may not happen on your timeline, but it will happen, because energy is never wasted. Every tear, every prayer, every sleepless night where you wondered if it was all worth it, It was. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are being positioned. So I ask you again, what if being invisible was never a curse but a divine strategy? What if your hiddenness was the very thing protecting your power, refining your essence, preparing you for a time when your voice will not just be heard, but felt? The awakening of the hidden light. There comes a moment in the life of every silent chosen one when the silence begins to speak back. Not in words, but in revelations. You begin to feel a shift, not outside, but within. It's not loud or dramatic, it's subtle, like the slow rising of the sun after a long, eternal night. And in that moment, something ancient awakens inside you. A memory, a truth, a light that was never gone, only buried. This is the awakening of the hidden light, and it's the most sacred part of your journey. You see, when your soul has been incubating in silence for so long, it starts to glow in ways the world doesn't immediately perceive. It's like a seed that has been buried in darkness. Pressure above, soil all around, no light in sight, but deep under the surface something is happening. Roots are forming, structure is taking shape. The seed is not dead, it's becoming. And the same is true for you. Your silence was never stagnation, it was spiritual gestation. You were growing roots in realms the world can't see. And then one day, without warning, you begin to feel it. The pull toward your purpose, the subtle nudges, the synchronicities, the way everything that once felt disconnected suddenly begins to weave itself into a pattern. You realize the pain wasn't random. The loneliness had meaning. The isolation was sacred. Every loss carved space for a deeper awareness. Every ending prepared you for an entrance into your true essence. It's a strange feeling, isn't it? To begin seeing yourself clearly after years of being unseen. To realize you were never broken, just blooming in a world that expected you to stay dormant. To feel your own power rising, not as arrogance, but as remembrance. You begin to walk differently, speak differently. You stop explaining yourself. You stop shrinking. You stop waiting for someone to grant you permission to be who you already are. But make no mistake, awakening is not easy. It's not all love and light. It's a dismantling, a confrontation. You'll be asked to let go of identities that no longer serve you. You'll be asked to release attachments, beliefs, relationships, and even versions of yourself that are too small for where you're going. You'll feel like you're losing everything, but in truth, you're only losing what was never truly you. This is where many fall back asleep. The discomfort is too great, the unknown is too vast. But the silent chosen ones, we don't retreat, we rise. Because we know that pain is the passage, not the punishment. We know that fire refines gold, and we are gold, rare and unshakable in spirit. Have you noticed how, once you begin to awaken, your energy starts to disturb the spaces that are still asleep? You'll walk into rooms and feel the tension. You'll speak truth, and others will feel exposed. Not because you're attacking them, but because your presence shines a light on their shadows. Don't shrink in these moments. Don't apologize for your clarity. You didn't come here to make people comfortable. You came here to be a mirror, to be a catalyst, to be the living proof that awakening is possible. And yet, you don't have to preach. You don't have to convince. Your energy does the work. Your embodiment is the message. Real power doesn't declare itself, it emanates. And that's what your silence has prepared you for. to become a walking vibration of truth, to be so aligned with your soul that your very being becomes medicine for those around you. As your light awakens, you'll begin to attract others who have been walking similar paths. You'll recognize each other by energy, by depth, by the way your conversations skip the surface and dive straight into the soul. These are your soul tribe, the ones who don't need you to explain why you disappeared for months to heal, the ones who see your growth and don't feel threatened, the ones who speak your language not just with words, but with presence. Still, understand this: your journey will always be uniquely yours. No one can walk it for you. No one can decode your inner knowing. That's the gift and the challenge of being chosen. You carry a blueprint that doesn't match the collective map. You're not here to follow trends. You're here to remember why you were sent. So as this hidden light within you continues to rise, let it burn away everything false. Let it illuminate every corner of your being. Let it guide you into spaces you once feared, because you were never meant to stay hidden. You were meant to emerge, not with noise, but with undeniable presence. Now let me ask you something and answer with your soul. If your inner light was no longer hidden, what kind of world would you create with it? The final revelation: why the world needs your silence now more than ever. There is a sacred moment after the pain, after the awakening, after the shedding, when everything becomes still. Not the kind of stillness that comes from absence, but the kind that follows a storm. It's the stillness of arrival, of embodiment, of finally stepping into the truth that has been chasing you your whole life. And in this final revelation, you understand your silence was never a weakness. It was never a mistake. It was your greatest preparation, because now, in a world screaming for attention, your silence has become the loudest revolution. The silent chosen ones are not here to fix the world in the way others think. We are not saviors. We are not gurus. We are not here to be worshipped or followed. We are here to remember, and in that remembering to help others do the same. The world doesn't need more noise. The world needs depth. The world needs presence. The world needs those rare beings who can walk into chaos and not be moved by it, who can sit in the fire and not flinch, who can hold a space so sacred that even the lost remember who they are in your presence. And that right there is why your silence was necessary. It taught you how to listen. It taught you how to see without judgment. It taught you how to hold truth without needing to prove it. In your silence, you became a keeper of frequencies, an architect of energy, a guardian of the unseen, and now you carry something that cannot be faked, a resonance of authenticity that pierces through illusions and awakens sleeping hearts. People will come to you and not know why they feel safe around you. They'll say your presence calms them, that they feel understood even when no words are exchanged. That's not just kindness, it's spiritual authority. It's the fruit of every inner battle you've won in silence. You didn't just survive, you alchemized. You turned your wounds into wisdom, your isolation into insight, your silence into strength. And now your life is the message. But this is also the moment when the distractions will try to return, the old temptations, the external validations, the offers to sell your truth for applause. And in those moments, you must remember who you are. You are not here to be liked. You're here to be true. You are not here to entertain. You're here to embody. Your soul didn't come all this way to play small now. You are the lighthouse in a fogged-out world, and the lighthouse doesn't chase ships. It stands in stillness and shines. So what now? Now you walk boldly. Now you speak only when it's sacred. Now you create not to be seen, but to serve. Now you move with the quiet certainty of someone who knows that their life is aligned with something eternal. And yes, there will still be moments of doubt, but they will pass like weather. You've learned to anchor in something deeper. You might not always see the effect you have, but trust. Your energy is shifting rooms, inspiring awakenings, birthing clarity in others. You're not here to be famous. You're here to be felt. And when you are truly felt, even in silence, you leave an imprint that lasts beyond lifetimes. That is the legacy of the silent chosen ones. So if you've ever wondered why your life was different, why your path was so quiet, so heavy, so hidden, it's because you are the soul the world calls when it's ready to remember. And that time is now. Now let me leave you with one final question, the deepest one yet. If your silence could heal the world, would you finally stop apologizing for it and start honoring it as the divine power it has always been?